My. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Animation Pilgrimage.
Here's a movie neither of us have seen before.
Yeah.
For good reason.
Yeah.
Alright,
Yeah.
so Gulliver's Travels by Max and Dave Fleischer.
Yep.
Gotta say, both was and wasn't what I was expecting. I wasn't sure what to expect with this.
I wasn't sure either.
Because,
it wasn't
the
good.
Fleischer Brothers stuff kind of spans a whole wide genre of things. But this was very un-Fleischer feeling to me.
Really?
Like, some things most definitely felt Fleischer Brothers.
I don't know. It felt full Fleischer to me.
Like, the
only parts missing was the blatant sexism or racism.
Well, see, that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that it just didn't have that...
Edginess?
Yeah, it didn't have that, I don't know, zing to it that a lot of Fleischer Brothers stuff has. That little jabs at whatever. That, for better and for worse, I just felt like that part of it was missing.
Yeah.
No, instead we get...
really boring. Really boring. How long was this movie?
I don't know. Give me a minute, actually. I'm gonna see if I can get it on the DVD cover.
I don't know how long this movie was, but it was too long. It felt just way too long.
Well, this probably isn't gonna be any help.
This does not say on there.
This says 224 minutes, but that's probably for, like, the whole DVD.
Yeah, I hope that's not the length of the whole movie.
And that might be including both movies. I bought this on Amazon. It's because the Fleischer Brothers stuff is pretty much all in the public domain now. A lot of different people have distributed it.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the Fleischer collection featuring Gulliver's Travels and Bugville, also known as Hoppity Goes to Town, or if you look on Wikipedia, it's called Mr. Bug Goes to Town. I don't know.
We'll be watching it later.
I'm very confused. I hope that that this Bugville, Hoppity Goes to Town, and Mr. Bug Goes to Town are all the same thing, because if it's not, I'm going to be very upset. And then it has also, like, a couple of other Fleischer animated shorts on it and stuff. And it's, like, a pretty basic DVD.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, if you're interested in checking it out, I got this pretty cheap on Amazon, so you can get it there.
Alright, so I guess for those unaware, of what the plot of Gulliver's Travels is. It's a book, and it goes into...
There's been a lot of adaptations of Gulliver's Travels over film history.
And there's even one starring Jack Black.
Yeah.
War, huh? What is it good for? He sings that at one point to...
I have not watched it.
Bring the conflict to an end.
Is it like the same kind of story that we saw here?
No, in that one he fights a giant robot.
Oh.
Because the little people...
Why not?
The little people... I don't know if it's a rival town or whatever. They build a giant robot, and so he has to fight it. And instead of fighting it, he sings, "War, huh? What is it good for? Absolutely nothing." And he has his iPhone, so they're infatuated with that and bullshit like that. Anyways, this movie, this one, how it works is Gulliver is a dude on the ship, and then he
gets shipwrecked. He gets washed up on the beach
of an island with extremely tiny people.
Yep. Little people.
Lilliput.
Lilliput.
Lilliput is the name of the town, yep.
And then there's another kingdom somewhere else that also has a bunch of tiny people living on it.
In this version. I don't know if it's that version every time.
Yeah.
But I know Gulliver's Travel, that's just one section of the whole story. Because later he goes off and now he's the tiny person among a lot of giant people. But most adaptations only focus on the Lilliput area
Yeah.
of the story.
So anyway, these two kingdoms have these kings, and they're trying to make their kids marry each other, and the kids are all cool with that because they're actually in love. But they
Through
can't.
love at first sight
Yeah.
reasons.
But they can't decide on a song to play at the wedding, either Faithful or Forever, which is apparently a tradition in their cultures to sing one or
In
the
both
other.
of their... It's like, why couldn't you just do them back to back?
You could play both of them, but whatever, we need conflict. So
now
they can't
they're at
decide on
war.
a wedding song. So they're like, well, if we don't do this song, then this means war. And the other king stomps off and takes his son with him, and they're at war. And then
Still haven't acknowledged the fact that there's a giant asleep on the beach.
But that's
Yeah.
where the town crier, Gabby, comes in.
So, Gabby is a long-standing character from Fleischer cartoons. I've seen a couple of them. I have a question for you, Tennelle, because I know you're doing a bit of research after we watched this film. Mm-hmm. When was Gabby introduced? Was he introduced in this film, or was he introduced before this film?
If you had to guess, what would you guess?
I would say... The thing is, I can see it either way. Mm-hmm. I can see it being either way. Either way is terrible.
Either way, they don't introduce him very well.
He's a bad character. I do not like him.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Imagine SpongeBob, except with zero charisma and an even more obnoxious voice. And not a sponge.
about that.
Oh no.
So, Gabby was introduced for this movie.
Okay.
And then Paramount was like, hey, this movie did well, let's make bank off this character. And then they ordered for a bunch more shorts.
Cool.
About the voice.
Are you telling me that the voice actor of SpongeBob based his voice on that?
No.
No?
Well, I mean, he might have. I didn't look that far into it.
Okay, sorry, but the way you said about that when I mentioned SpongeBob, it made me really worried that I somehow hit it on the nose.
You should still be concerned.
Okay.
So, you know this voice actor.
Do I?
We just listened to them in the last movie we watched. And in the shorts before this. You will never guess who this person is.
Well, obviously not, because it's pitched, I'm pretty sure.
So they also did the voice of Sleepy in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Who gets like 2 lines?
And
Okay.
the voice of Goofy.
What?
I read that and I was like, no.
What the hell, man? I mean, good for you, you got better roles than this.
Yeah, but this came after those other two.
It did?
Yeah,
Oh.
because this is after Snow White.
Oh.
And after the Goofy short.
Oh. But why? I mean, I understand why, because you need a paycheck to live and stuff. And if you're a voice actor back then, I'm sure there wasn't a lot of them. Really. And you just kind of bounced among the different studios.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
a lot of voices were just done in studio. They didn't really necessarily hire anyone. But yeah,
Mickey is voiced by Walt, of course. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
up until he couldn't do it anymore. Yep.
Oh, wow. What is that guy's name?
I can't remember. I just read it, but I can't remember.
Okay.
I'll put it on the screen right now. Boop.
Hello, sir. Good and bad choices. I don't know if they were necessarily your choices or studio choices, but okay. Gabby is an obnoxious little annoying town crier.
piece of shit.
He takes up way too much of this runtime.
He's
Speaking of the
essentially
runtime.
the main character, even though it's about Gulliver.
My. Speaking of the runtime of this thing, I feel like I was correct in my assumption that Fleischer Bros looked at Disney's Snow White, or them making it in the process, I don't know, and they're like, hey, we can do that too. So they made their own movie, except they didn't understand how pacing works, and so they just made like an hour and a half long short.
I'm pretty sure this is only like 60 minutes.
Oh my god, it felt like 5 hours.
It felt really long.
Because it just feels like any normal cartoon short, just excruciatingly
really
long.
Like, the first few plot points we gave you guys, Gulliver gets beached and the two kings have a quarrel about what song to play at the wedding. Those two plot points take up the first,
10 minutes.
10, 15 minutes of the movie.
And then we spend another 10, 15 minutes or more, possibly, of just the townsfolk tying up Gulliver.
That section's so
The scene
long.
just keeps going and going.
Well, and what really makes it feel more like a short rather than a movie is that there's constant gags.
Yeah, constant gags, just that you would see in any other Fleischer Bros short at the time. Just
Gag after gag after
non-stop.
gag. It's like the only time the movie took itself seriously was the first minute or so where Gulliver gets shipwrecked which was really nice.
I will say that, they actually had some pretty good effect animation specific at the beginning of the movie, specifically with like the water in the storm.
Yeah.
And then some of the lighting effects that they had throughout the thing was pretty alright looking.
Oh yeah. I would definitely agree with that. But the rest of the animation I could just...
Because they didn't change their
leave.
cartoon style at all. It was just the same.
The backgrounds were really nice.
Yes.
The backgrounds were well painted.
Characters are garbage. Just putting that out there.
I really don't care for Fleischer Brothers style stuff that much. Like I just don't care for their art style. It's not... It's kind of ugly.
Yeah, it really is. They didn't figure out their lighting for a lot of the scenes correctly. I just complimented their lighting, but that's when they were specifically doing light effects. But when they're like, some of the backgrounds were just too dark to actually see what was going on.
Well, and a lot of that could just be the quality of the film.
Lost to time type of thing.
Yeah, getting corroded over time.
That's possible.
They don't have, the Disney company behind them that can do, updates.
Holding on to it and stuff. And
Yeah, I mean, the original cells for Snow White are practically destroyed because of the makeup I talked about, them putting on Snow White's cheeks. I mean, absolutely destroyed the cells.
that makes sense. Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of that could just be wear and tear over time, and this is just the best quality that we have left of it.
I guess that's true.
Yeah. And another thing that I definitely think we should talk about before we continue bashing on this poor movie is that Max Fleischer did want to make a movie all the way back in 1934.
Okay.
And he kept pitching it to Paramount, and they were like, no, this isn't gonna be good, we can't do this, that's
So
too much of a monetary...
It was only after Disney did it that Paramount greenlit it.
Paramount as soon as Snow White became a box office hit, they were like, make a movie, it needs to be done by Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah. I think they had a year and a half to do this movie.
That's not long
No.
back then for... Oh dear, because most of these movies took 2-3 years to do?
well, Snow White was in production for like... Snow White had an 18th-month production cycle, if I remember correctly, but that production cycle was preceded by years of pre-production.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Snow White literally took like 10 years to make. It was in production for, you know, a year and a half, 2 years, but no, Gulliver's Travels was like all pre-production, production, post, year and a half.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Still doesn't make this movie good.
That being said, it does not excuse this movie. There being, like, it's been lost to time for a reason. Now, with that also being said, this movie did extremely well.
Did it?
In the box office, yeah. I mean, it literally was going off of the Snow White hype train, so people were excited to see like, another animated film.
I want to see another full-length cartoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to see you draw the funnies.
I want to see you draw the funnies.
I love that line.
Oh, my.
My. Is just about Gulliver's only line.
He says that a lot.
Yeah, Gulliver is super rotoscope.
Yeah. There's most everybody is like animated loosely, like Fleischer Brothers style, but there are 3 rotoscope characters: Gulliver, the prince, and the princess.
And the prince and the princess
have names, but I don't remember. I think one's David, and the other one's like Glory or something.
Whatever her name is, I don't remember.
Yeah.
They are still loosely rotoscoped.
They're very rotoscoped.
That, yeah.
That's what you
Their
meant
designs
to say.
are very boring, though.
Oh, yeah.
They have literal ones of lines, otherwise they sing everything. And look mopey.
To clarify here, because we talked about how Snow White had to be rotoscoped in Snow White. This, however, was like Uncanny Valley rotoscoping.
On him.
On Gulliver specifically.
On Gulliver specifically. And there's like a weirdly underlit scene at night.
They put a lot of like lighting effects and shading on him to try and make him look as realistic as possible.
Which made it look worse. Which
just makes him look really unsettling and creepy.
It's really weird when you have a bunch of random cartoon characters and then a overly detailed hand just come in and, you know, pick up a character and drag them off screen.
It's one of those things where it's like...
Back to SpongeBob, they do that kind of thing as well. Oh my god.
All the SpongeBob parallels. But it's one of those things where it's like, because the quality of the film has been a little lost and all that essentially because the quality is kind of bad because of its oldness, there are a few shots in here that I was like, wait, is that just live footage of an actor?
Yeah, honestly.
Because they do make him look really realistic, and that's not a compliment, because it's Uncanny Valley territory, and it's just like, this is the line I draw, where it's like, okay, why didn't you just use a live actor?
Because you're literally just doing a live actor as close as possible. You're not exaggerating him at all. The only one thing in this entire film that they did that didn't just use a real actor is at one point he has his hand and he's dancing with the king.
Yeah.
As though it was like another dancer. And even then, it's like, this is just kind of dumb, and it's weird because this guy is so realistic that his fingers are not bending quite right.
Yeah.
That scene felt really weird. It was kind of off-putting.
Well, and in general, like, let's talk about the animation a bit.
Okay.
So, by this point, Disney animators also had figured out pencil tests. They figured out how to set up pencil tests. So, for the first time ever, animators could see what they had animated in real time before it was inked and put up on the screen.
Yeah, so they could like.
So that was like a huge innovation, and I don't think if I remember
had that ability yet.
Fleischer did not use that, and they did not have the ability to use pencil tests. Or refused. Some animators outright refused to use pencil tests because they thought it was cheating. You know, the same way like digital artists, like traditional versus digital today. You know, anytime any of these new tools comes up, people are like, well, that's cheating if you use that. Or, you know, oh, well, you're not a real artist if you don't use this. You know, so back then it was a big point of contention. You know, it's like, pencil tests, that's just, it's cheating and it's being lazy.
Okay.
Okay. But, yeah. I think they tried, I mean, yet again, this movie was done on such a quick schedule. They tried introducing pencil tests and trying to get that kind of level of polish in here, but they just didn't have time, and they had to fight animators tooth and nail to even use it.
Oh, and people wonder why their studio went under.
Well, their studio went under for multiple reasons, some
Yeah.
which I'll talk about in a little bit.
Okay.
But
I mean, they're
the
still around
animation-
for a bit.
yeah, the animation in this movie is not great.
It exists.
It exists. It's not
It's
It's
on
not
par
a-
with their cartoons of the time.
right. It's not like with Snow White where it's like
A definite step up.
yeah, a definite step up, and you can feel some of the animation principles are starting to come about, and just some ideas. The one thing that both this and Snow White still failed to get the grasp of is solidity of the characters and how there are certain things that you shouldn't squash and stretch.
Yeah, I guess that was something that we never actually talked about in the Snow White review, but there's a few gags where the dwarves' heads distort and warp or swell up and stuff, which looks very unsettling and bad.
Yeah,
Never.
I mean, one of the more iconic scenes is like Dopey shaking his head, and like then the water sloshes around and his head sloshes, and
Ugh.
yeah, that's an animation thing where it's like you can squash and stretch
The jaw.
area as
And
much
the
of a
face,
human character.
to some extent.
Yeah, but don't stretch and squash the
s-
cranium.
Yeah, the top of the skull. Leave that be.
And if Dopey's bad, this movie's worse, because just characters have a hard time staying on model in the Fleischer style because it's so round and bubbly and rubber hose
Yeah.
that
Speaking of Dopey, did you notice that there was a Dopey character?
yeah.
Yeah, there's like 3 spies for Bimbo or Bombo?
Bombo,
Bombo, the
which
bad
is
king.
the king with the sun
He's
prince.
got 3 spies, which just kept reminding me of the Beagle Boys, to be perfectly
yeah.
honest. Because it's the 2 large ones and the small one, and the
Yeah.
small one just acted like Dopey the whole time.
We'll need to add that movie to our list. I don't think that got a theatrical release.
No,
but
I don't think it did, but that's a good one.
Yeah.
We're talking about
the
the
Beagle
Three
Boys from the Three Musketeers with Mickey, Donald, and Goofy.
Yeah, that's a great film.
That one's fun. Anyway.
And speaking of characters that were directly ripped from Snow White,
There are 2 bluebirds in this movie.
whose coloring is
Exact.
identical to the parent bluebirds.
My.
From Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. You know, like the little bluebird we talked about last episode that she helped get back to its family. These 2 bluebirds in this movie look identical to those parents.
Yeah, and it's like the very first shot of them almost looks like traced. Like,
Yeah. It's like, oh no.
like they look like they just directly came from Snow White. I'd say as the film progresses, they look a bit more Fleischer.
Yeah, they start getting a little more bubbly,
Uh-huh.
but they're at the first shot. It's like,
Excuse me.
what y'all doing?
My.
My.
Oh, God.
And of course, this Romeo and Juliet story is solved by them singing the song together.
Well, it's solved by Gulliver. Gulliver gives, like, this big old speech, which
is actually how Gulliver's Travels goes.
I know,
It's really, really preachy. Gulliver's Travels is incredibly preachy because he goes to this place with all the tiny people and just like, you guys are all idiots, stop living your lives like this. And then he goes to the big people and then they're like, you're an idiot, why are you living your life like this? Because it's whoever's bigger than you can tell you what to do with your life, is essentially the theme of the book.
Okay, see, I've never read the book or
I remember
know a whole lot about
having to read snippets and learn about it in school at some point. So I know that's why people only take this part of the book. Because they don't like people yelling at the audience for being wrong.
And you're supposed to relate to Gulliver.
You're supposed to relate to Gulliver with all these funny little people that you're allowed to laugh at and say, you're dumb and you're idiots for living your life this way. I'm going to tell you why you're dumb.
Okay.
See?
Now,
that makes so much more sense?
Yeah, but I will say that when he was giving that last speech there, I was getting a real, like, colonialism kind of vibe.
I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a very similar thing.
White guy comes in, tells
foreign
these
land.
savages how to live their life, makes their life better.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Gulliver's Travels.
Yeah. All's not well.
All's well.
God, everybody except for Gulliver and I guess the two boring prince and princess whatevers. Everybody's voices are so annoying in this.
Let me go.
Oh God.
That's Gabby.
Yeah.
He's awful.
And then they've got this foppish king character that like the king and Gabby are
show up again later in
pretty much the leads in this movie.
Yeah.
Even though they're really inconsequential to the plot.
Yeah. It's like it's all about the
Gulliver and the romance.
Gulliver, the prince, the princess, and the attacking king, Bombo. It has nothing to do with the king or Gabby, but they're the main characters for some reason.
Yeah.
They make
they get the most
decisions.
Screen time, they get the most gags, they have the most annoying voices and the worst personalities. Like, they're the most unrelatable characters. Because Gabby is, like, constantly mouthing off to everyone and screaming and just being, like, the most obnoxious. And then he bounces off this king character.
Like SpongeBob.
Stop with the SpongeBob!
But it works.
Just stop!
Okay, fine.
But, and then this king is just like your atypical foppish king who's like, oh, I'm so big and tough, but oh, conflict arose, and oh, I've got to go hide, and like, there's just no surprises here.
I'm going to shoot you.
Lots of sighs.
I guess, so overall, songs aren't terribly good. The animation
the audio quality is not great.
Yeah, but even the songs themselves, I don't imagine anybody was singing for very long after this movie.
This whole movie just doesn't... You know, we said before that it feels like a just very long short. And a lot of that is just that this movie doesn't know how to be a movie, you know? And it's... And you can look at this film, and then you can look at Snow White and be like, wow.
There is a vast difference.
Yeah, like, Snow White has themes, and it knows how to use color palettes to convey moods.
Cameras, pacing.
It takes itself seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it knows how to pace a story. It knows when to get the audience excited about something and when to draw back and just let the audience watch what's going on.
What nothingness music was in this thing? Like, just when they were doing things, there's just doobity-doobity-doobity-doo music going on that didn't add to anything. It was bad.
Yeah. I mean, scenes continue in this movie for a really long time just for the fact that they've got to fill up time.
Yeah. It has a lot of filler.
I mean,
Just
I can say that this movie
over the
has a
buttons.
theme, but only because it's based off of Gulliver's Travels.
exactly.
There's no artistic intent here other than we were
doing
told to make a
Gulliver-
movie.
Yeah. We were told to make a movie about Gulliver's Travels. Mm-hmm. So
Like,
we
you
did.
don't feel like any of the artists really connected to what their movie was trying to say or what they were trying to accomplish with this movie. It's just not there.
Yeah. And you said this movie was still successful.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, of course it was. People wanted to see another animated film.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what year did this come out?
39, I think.
So 2 years after
Snow White.
Snow White. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And then we got like another year before Pinocchio comes out.
Okay. I guess that being said, what do we have coming up then?
Pinocchio.
Pinocchio?
Pinocchio's next.
next.
Yeah. And then I think it's directly to Fantasia after that.
Oh my. So nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing between those. Like we said, there's going to be a lot of Disney here at the beginning.
Yeah. And I was also alluded to the fact that I was going to talk about this. So, Fleischer Brothers,
Okay.
during the production of this movie,
Mm-hmm.
there's a little hubbub at Fleischer Brothers Studios. One of the brothers was sleeping with the other brother's wife or secretary or something. Some scandal was going on.
Guys.
And so after this, the Fleischer Brothers split.
Cool.
Yeah. So then Max Fleischer pretty much does his own thing after this.
Okay. That sounds great. I don't know how to react to that.
Yeah.
This is so far in the past.
Scandals from Hollywood in the 1930s.
Oh my.
Oh, the juicy tidbits.
This mover producer's brother was sleeping.
One can say all's not well in Hollywood.
Oh my god.
My.
My. Okay. I'd say that's pretty much it for this review on the Animation Pilgrimage.
I guess, do we recommend this or not?
If you're curious, check it out. It's fairly cheap to pick up. Otherwise, I would say it's a skip.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say you really need to watch this. There's nothing integral to the growth of animation or anything from here.
No. I mean, I'd give this a hard pass unless, you're like us and you want to watch all these movies and join us on the pilgrimage. But yeah, otherwise I'd just give this a hard pass.
Agreed. So,
next up, we've got Pinocchio.
yay!
Hi. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Okay. See y'all next time.
All's well, laugh your fears away. See the light ahead, right ahead. There's a moonlit night ahead. Everyone, come on, have fun.